Hey everyone, it's Sanni. So this is my second installment of like my favorite makeup brushes. Now I just shot the favorite eyes video, and I'm gonna edit that first because more people wanted to see that. And then I'm gonna do face now, and face, which includes kind of foundation, concealer, powder, and contour, bronzer, all of that. So there is, I think there's 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10. There was 9 eye brushes, even though technically there was 10 because I just slipped in an extra product in there. But I am going to start with foundation and concealer. So at the moment, my favorite just normal standard foundation brush is the Sigma Foundation F60. It's a really kind of nice synthetic fiber brush. So you always use a synthetic fiber brush. There's flat top ones, and then there's rounded ones like this one is. I much prefer the rounded ones with the flat top, because it does have corners. You tend to, sometimes if you're in a hurry, you might not blend everything quite as well. I prefer this one to the MAC one, even though it's almost an exact dupe. Will have to forgive me, the MAC one isn't. I used the MAC one this morning actually. The MAC one is really similar. It's a little bit wider, but what I prefer about what I like about the Sigma one is that it is thicker. I much prefer that. I use this type of a brush for applying, let's say, MAC face and body, which I am still a fan of. I think I will be forever. So I apply really liquid products with a brush like this, but that is the only type of foundation I apply with a brush like this. For slightly thicker products like my other favorite, Laura Mercier Silk Cream, I either like to use a beauty blender, which I guess should be in this video because it's a face tool, it's not a face brush. My beauty blender, or the next brush that I'm going to show you. Well, the next 2 brushes I'm going to show you. So my favorite way of applying thicker, kind of creamier foundations is a flat kabuki brush. And this one is by Sigma. It's a flat kabuki F80. And I absolutely adore this brush. It's really, really dense. Like, hardly any of the product, like when you're using this on your face, I stipple around certain areas and then I blend around certain areas. Hardly any of the products actually gets inside of the bristles because it's just so dense. This gives a wonderful kind of airbrushed finish. Another way of doing that airbrush finish is, if you're using a standard foundation brush, is to use one of, like, for example, MAC's or whatever brand's duo fiber brushes. This one is in my favorites list as well. So even when I do foundation with this, I tend to go in with my MAC 130, and it's kind of like the smallest and the densest of MAC's duo fiber brushes. And just around my nose, kind of around the eyebrows, you'll notice often like you might get a little bit of foundation stuck in your eyebrows. Just go around with this and it just seamlessly blends, and hairline and stuff like that. This brush is absolutely genius for. I adore it for that. I would say I will always use a duo fiber brush if I'm using this, just to kind of finish it off. Sometimes I'll use a larger one, a smaller one, larger one. I don't want to show it because it's dirty. It's 187 brush, but this one is my favorite, and this one I definitely could not live without. These 3, great foundation. Concealer for under the eyes and actually spot concealing. My favorite ever is the MAC 224. I think this is officially an eye brush. The reason why I started using this for concealer is I went to a MAC masterclass years ago, and Terry Barber was doing makeup. He was fantastic. It was so great to go to his class. And he used this for concealer under the eyes, and I was amazed. I'm going, wow. So you can use an eye brush for concealer. I never even thought of it. This one does an amazing job under the eyes. This is pretty much the only brush I use under the eyes. or, well, I do use like my ring finger as well, but brush wise, this one it gives such an airbrush beautiful finish. But I also do use this for spots. Like I use this on my face all the time, on other people's faces. I don't like standard kind of concealer brushes like the MAC 194. It gives precise application, but it doesn't blend it in very well. You kind of have to work it and work it and work it. This one, there's enough of a tip that you can actually really, when you just like touch your skin lightly, you can conceal everything. But because of the shape, it just kind of airbrushes the spots away. I love this brush. I would never ever do makeup on anybody else without this brush, or myself for that matter. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna do powder next. I've got two brushes. Now this one I know, I feel bad because this is like, might be an obscure brand for some of you. It's Paris Berlin and it's the number 30 brush. And it is essentially like a small powder brush. I'm gonna show you. Just to compare it to, this is the Bobbi Brown eye blender brush. So it's similar size to the Bobbi Brown eye blender brush, but this one, this one, the Paris Berlin one, is a lot denser. I absolutely love this brush. You could also use a MAC, I'm going to look up the number. MAC has a slightly similar brush to this, so you could also use that, but this one is so soft, it's incredible. I know you can order their products from their website. I think they deliver worldwide, I'm not sure, but this brush I'm in love with. And this is the first Paris Berlin brush that I've ever bought, and I'm definitely going to try new ones. They are kind of MAC price, maybe a little bit cheaper, but the quality seems amazing. And sometimes this is the only powder brush I'll use. So use it under the eyes, around the nose, on the nose, and then if I use a small brush to do powder, I just kind of go like that. And because I, in general, leave kind of the outside part of my face powder free anyway, so this is great. I love it. So soft. It's so incredibly soft. But yeah, have a look if they deliver to where you live. It's this Paris Berlin is a pro makeup brand here in Paris, and they have a shop like 5 minutes walking distance away from me, so I love it. I love going there. Yes, so that's great. Then I've got, well, this is something that I said before, that certain face brushes for me are interchangeable. Like, I'm not too fussed about foundation brushes. Like, some of them are thicker, some of them less. I buff it in anyway, so I'm not too fussed. Another brush that I'm not too fussed about, powder. Currently, I am loving the Bourjois one, also because it's all like pale pink and cute. It's super soft and it's quite small. Let me just compare it to the Sigma one. It's smaller than the Sigma one, so I kind of control where the powder is going better. And this is my current favorite. However, if I had to say my all-time favorite, and this is going to sound a little bit crazy, some of you might have seen me use this before, is actually an artist brush. This is quite a bit longer than makeup brushes. It's a Windsor & Newton series 340 number 6 brush. And I have had this brush since I think I was a student, pretty much. I couldn't afford to buy a powder brush. I mean, powder brushes are like 50 euros. I couldn't afford to buy one. And somebody told me to go to an art shop. At the time, I bought a lot of my makeup brushes from an art shop because they do have dupes for pretty much everything. It's amazing, at a fraction of the prices. And this was one that I bought and I still use. I still kind of love this, but because I realized that a lot of you might not be able to get it, Bourjois does a beautiful one as well. And I love the Bourjois one. This is really reasonably priced. I think it was 18 euros or something. So for a powder brush, it's fantastic. Like, some of the powder brushes and some of the more expensive ranges are just crazy expensive, like really, really expensive. I guess that's one of the reasons why I'm still hanging on to this one as well. Anyways, blush and highlighter and contouring. Two of my favorite contour and blush brushes come from MAC. Contour 109, blush 116. I like small brushes for both jobs. I'll talk about the contouring one first. This one is, when you compare it to the blush brush, it's rounder. So blush is kind of flat on the side and wider, and it's more kind of domed. The contour brush is a lot denser, and it has more like kind of a kabuki style top. So it's really, really dense, and it has a lot of bristles that are the same length. So it's really great for kind of building up contour. And I use this a lot for bronzer as well. Reason being is I don't like to use a big brush like, you know, big brush for bronzer and go. I like to be really specific with bronzer, and I like to kind of build it up. So if I'm using bronzer, I'll maybe start off here, and you kind of start off in a little circle, and then you just make it a little bit bigger. You just keep circling, and because most of the product would have worked off in the center of it, when you're kind of going further and further, you get less and less product, and you have so much more control with this. And I sometimes use this for cream products as well, but mostly powder. Blush, I love this. This is perfect size for most people's faces. If you use a blush brush that's too big, you kind of end up with huge streaks and not much concentration of color. If you use a blush brush that's too small, you get kind of like a streaky finish. This one for me is perfect density and also kind of perfect size for pretty much everybody I've used it on. So I really, really like this. I can do contouring with that, but I do, you know, I do like a little bit of a contour brush. This one is the one that's a bit dirty, has a little bit of pink on it. What I like to do with a contour brush is when I don't want to carry two brushes along, I use this for both kind of contouring, bronzing and blush. So what I do is I use like the contour or the bronzer first, and I put the whole thing in it, and I do kind of contour, contour, contour. And then for blush, because blush in general I like to just place just on top of it, I just use the tip of this for the blush and kind of do it with the same brush. But you can just use it for blush, or just use it for bronzer, just use it for contour. And last but not least is my Eve Pearl fan brush. Now, MAC nor Sigma has fan brush. That is why I had to go to Eve Pearl to buy one. I have a couple of her other brushes as well, and I do like them. But this one is, I pretty much do all my highlighting. Sometimes I do blush with this. It does do a good job, but I just prefer a more traditional shape blush brush. I pretty much always use this for highlighting. I love doing a highlight with this. It really, it like gets you nicely, like if you're doing a highlight down your nose, but for the top of the cheeks, you cannot beat a fan brush. It's genius for it. So yeah, there we go. If I was to pick, two brushes, I could actually do, well, three brushes, sorry. I could do my face makeup with three brushes, and four. I keep adding to this. I could do it with four brushes. Concealer, MAC 224, or 224. Powder, I would use the small one because I can do my whole face with it, but I do need the small one to get, like, just do the size of the nose, really, really important, and under the eyes. I need a buffer brush of some sort, and this is my favorite, the MAC 130. And then a blush brush, and this is my favorite, MAC 116. So yeah, four would be my minimum of face brushes to have. Because you can always, with foundation, you can always do it with your fingers, but you do need a buffer. You do need a buffer to kind of buff everything in. You do need a concealer brush, and yeah. So four, I could whittle it down to four, and I think I whittled it down to three with my eye brushes. So really, you only need 7 brushes to do your whole face. And you're kind of set, and then you can kind of keep building from that. Anyways, I feel like I've gone on for way too long. We're at 16 minutes right now. I might try and edit it down a little bit. Anyways, so I hope you liked the video. Please let me know of any amazing brush discoveries that you have. I'm so interested. But to cut a long story short, if you like the video, please rate, comment and subscribe, and watch my eye brushes video. I'll put a link below to that as well. Please. I will see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.